Hello and welcome to another Sprues and Brews review. Today we are having a look at the latest expansion for Necromunda, Book of the Outlands. So recently we had the Ash Wastes box come out, which introduced vehicular combat to the world of Necromunda, and one of the little grumbles that we had about the book was that it didn't contain like the stats for the vehicles you can take and how you can take them for other gangs. Well, this book is pretty much your vehicle supplement. We have got in here rules for all the vehicles that gangs can take, rules for creating your own vehicles, and also interestingly we have the full vehicle rules that were in the Ash Wastes rulebook as well. So if you haven't picked up that box and you do want to run some vehicles for your gang, then yeah, this is the book for you. In addition to that, we also have two new gangs in here. We have the Ash Waste Nomads and we have the Ironhead Squat Prospectors. So yeah, I know a lot of people are excited for both of those forces in the game as well. And then, like with the other book of books, we also get a lot of cool, fun stuff, some new hangers on, and interesting things to change up the game. So yeah, I've been really looking forward to this one, and probably going to create a Ash Waste Nomad gang along with some squats. And absolutely add some vehicles to all my other gangs. It's a slippery slope, Necromunda, as I'm sure you all know. So first of all, I want to say a massive thanks to Games Workshop for sending us this free and early to do a review for the website. Yeah, it is a good time to get into Necromunda if you've not played it before. And obviously in the past, it was in the tight confines of the Zone Mortalis, kind of scenery pieces to represent the cramped confines of the hive itself. Now with the Ash Waste, we've moved to more like the desolate deserts that surround the various spires, and they're fairly inhospitable. It's either very hot and deadly, or the ground's on fire and deadly. It's not a very nice place to go, and with that, having mounts and vehicles is a good idea, as we'll see in the book. So let's have a look through the book and see what we get. So first of all, we get some new gangs introduced in the first section. We get a little bit of lore about the Ash Waste Nomads. So there's lots of rumours and superstition about the Ash Waste Nomads, and I'd love to see this expanded more. I'm guessing we're probably going to get some more books over the course of this kind of like Ash Wastes arc. But essentially, think Tusken Raiders from Star Wars, and you're not too far off. They collect their dead, which has led to rumours that they're actually immortal because you never find a Ash Waste Nomad's body after battle because somebody else already carried it off. They also have a strange relationship with the various kind of insects and creatures that live out in the hives, and that has led some to believe that, are they even human? Have they got like weird chittering mandibles and stuff behind those masks? We assume they're human, but as with a lot of things in Necromunda, you never really know, which I quite like with these books. So yeah, I'm all for them secretly being some weird insect hybrids underneath all that. So the gang themselves work quite differently to other Necromunda gangs in the way they work. The Ash Waste Nomads very much keep to themselves, so they don't have any kind of like external help or the normal hangers-on and guild alliances and the kind of stuff that you would do in a Necromunda gang, you can't actually do with the Ash Waste Nomads because they keep to themselves and any sane person wouldn't want to deal with them anyway. So because of that, you can only take hangers-on that are specifically for them. And there are a couple in this book, so you do get some new hangers-on. You get a little exception that there are some members of Ash Waste Society that would do the same kind of role that other hangers-on for other gangs would do. So because of that, you can take ammo jacks, rogue docs and sloppers, but the game does say that ideally you need to model these to be Ash Waste Nomads that are doing that particular task. It wouldn't surprise me if we get models for these from Forge World as well. I think that's a bit of a no-brainer. So looking forward to that. And as for alliances and hired guns and hangers-on and all that kind of stuff, you just can't do it unless it specifically states that you can. You do get 2 in the book, and again, suspect we might see some more introduced over time as well. So that's cool, they're their own thing. Because of that as well, they also never take vehicles. So they can't really use the vehicle rules in here because the majority of their cool stuff is mounted on Helamites and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. because they're very much designed for Ash Waste campaigns as well, we do get some rules for using them in other campaigns. So essentially, because they're kind of a nomad tribe, in a Dominion campaign they wouldn't go around taking other people's territory and taking it over themselves. So instead they always have one territory that they can never lose. They just get a penalty if they get beaten in a kind of territory raid. And instead, if they win a battle during the campaign, they will simply take anything of value and raise it to the ground. That territory then becomes an old ruins territory, and they get some credits at the end of it. So you'll still be able to accrue some money. You're just not going to have the advantage of the various boons of different territories, just because they operate in a different way. Arguably as well, if you're playing in the Underhive, you're not going to be able to use them to their best advantage because you've not got the various mounts and stuff that they've got. Though your arbitrator could decide that yes, your Hellamite can run through some corridors in the Zone Mortalis tile. So yes, they're pretty cool. Going on to the gang themselves, this is expanded out from the kind of get you by rules that were included in the Ash Waste box instructions. We've now got a full kind of like gang list for them, which is really cool. So the chieftain is kind of got standard human leader stats, toughness 3, 2 attacks. He has got weapon skill 3+, so this guy's a bit better at close combat. And they've got quite a range of different gear that you can give them. They come with standard an ash cloak, which basically makes them, they count as a rebreather, and they're immune to the effects of various environmental hazards on a 6 and roll of a 6. They also have a sky mantle, which they can use to conceal themselves within the ash waste itself. So with that, they can do a special double action, and basically they can just pop underground until they're ready to pop out and ambush somebody, so that's pretty fun. Weapons-wise, they can take a load of cool stuff. You've got venom casters, web guns, heavy blaster. A lot of their the blast weapons that the Ash Waste Nomads have. On a hit of 6, it automatically causes a wound, which is pretty cool. I think shock the rule's called. So that's their main kind of gimmick. They can also take stuff that we've seen, like the chain lance, which basically is kind of a long reach close combat weapon. So yeah, some pretty fun stuff they can take. We then have the Watchers, which are the champions. Very, very similar profile and loadout to the leader. However, these have got ballistic skill 3+, making them your go-to choice really for giving them the charge caster, which is basically a Ash Wastes rocket launcher. So that's pretty cool. They also have access as a primary skill to the Wasteland skill tree that we'll see in a little bit. Basically, that has some really fun stuff in there that plays with the way that the Ash Waste Nomads play. So there's one in there that lets a model be able to see outside of visibility an extra 6 inches. So we'll see in a little bit there's some abilities that can limit visibility on the board due to sandstorms and the like. And yeah, you could actually, with your starting skill, give this guy the ability to see outside of that, so that turn 1, if there's a sandstorm and visibility is limited, you can just open up with your rocket launcher and take something out. So that's pretty fun. Speaking of limiting visibility, we have the Watari Stormcaller, who is the other champion you can take. We also do have an unboxing for the model up on the site today as well, but this is the kind of like shaman looking fella. He's not a psyker, as I originally thought that he was. He's a little bit different. They're kind of more of a shaman. They don't have to do any kind of like psyker test or anything. Instead, they can use their Stormcaller staff, which I will note you do have to pay the points for separately. It isn't included with him, so he is really 135 if you want him with that, 155 if you want it with that. And it's a double action, and it limits visibility to 24 inches. Which is really, really cool. Again, especially if you've got skills that let you see, you know, further than that. So, for example, with that last example with the guy with the rocket launcher and that skill, while everybody can only see 24 inches, he can actually see 30 inches, meaning that you can snipe out at things just out of visibility range. And then, every turn, he can do the same double action to increase or reduce visibility by 6 inches. So over the course of the game, if you wanted to, you could really have low visibility and just sandstorms sweeping around everywhere. Also, if you've got multiple Stormcallers, you could get this triggering as well. So 2 of them, you could have a visibility of, 18 inches, turn 1, which is pretty handy. So yeah, he's pretty cool. We also get the Dust Rider Prospects. We've seen these guys in the Ash Wastes kind of get you by rules. Again, these are your Prospect equivalents. They can actually promote up into a Stormcaller as well, if you so wish. So that's a pretty cool promotion option for them if you do want to have a couple of Stormcallers in the force. Again, nice range of weapons on them. They're pretty good. Obviously, more so than your Juves, they've got some decent stats as well. So really, I'm thinking all your kind of like long rifles and stuff like that, you can get them on some Dust Riders. You've got a quick little sniper that can get around the board then. And they also have access to the Chain Lance as well, which lets you do kind of like a drive-by attack on somebody, so that's pretty fun. And then we have our standard gangers. Nothing too special about these guys. A single one at gang creation can take special weapons, so you've got venom casters and web guns, so pretty cool. Other than that, they can take long rifles as a basic weapon, so that's pretty cool. Again, really plays into the long range sniper vibe that you've got going on. Obviously, that being able to adjust visibility and having a lot of long range kind of units and abilities to see past visibility, you can do quite a nasty kind of ambushing sniper force, which I guess is the vibe they're going for with these. And then alternatively, you can take your Juves, the Runtani Dust Runners. Fairly terrible stats, but it's a Juve, so you know you want to have them in your gang to get them leveled up and get some cool stuff on them. They've got a more limited assortment of weapons they can take, so they can't take long rifles, but obviously with these guys you want to try and get them increasing the stats and kind of upping themselves anyway. So yeah, the Ash Waste Nomads look really, really good. They don't have any vehicles, so your bonus 400 points that you get in an Ash Waste campaign, you're going to want to spend on your various kind of mounted beasties as well. So that's not it though. We also get the Ironhead Squat Prospectors in the book as well. So this is the new Squat gang for Necromunda that I'm sure a lot of people are very excited to do. And these are an interesting one. Obviously we learned a little bit about these. I kind of called it out in the Ash Wastes video that I suspected that squats were coming. And again, in this kind of intro bit, it does mention that they've got like tracked mining rigs that travel through the wastes. And unfortunately, there's no kind of specific vehicles for them. So I do wonder if we will get some squat vehicle models in a future supplement maybe. But at the time being, they can take kind of all the generic vehicles that you can take for any gang. Gang composition wise, there's nothing too unusual there. They just work like any other gang. What I will say though is that if you want to, you could have an absolutely tooled out uber elite force. And they're pretty good. So your leader's got toughness 4 and 3 wounds, decent shooting in combat. He can take all sorts of stuff. I mean, for a start, he can take heavy carapace armour at 100 credits. That gives him a 3+ save to the front and 4+ save everywhere else. All the various conversion fields and weapons and stuff that you could ever want. So it wouldn't surprise me if you've got, you know, a couple of squats racking up 300, 400 credits each and have them really tooled out guys. Obviously you're going to struggle then if people start running away during your gang, but I guess the idea is your guys are so heavily armoured. On the plus side, nothing bad should happen to them often. That's the theory anyway. They also have the Drill Masters, which is their champion, and it's their only champion choice at the minute. I do wonder if we'll get a future kit giving them another champion, because a lot of the other gangs have got a few varieties of different champions they can take now. Again, similar kind of stat line. Their weapon skill drops to 4+, but they've still got ballistic skill 3+, and still toughness 4, so pretty good. And again, they can take all the same gear that the leader can take as well. So again, if you want to give them heavy carapace armour and bolt guns, you can go ahead and do that. So yeah, they're pretty cool. They also get the Wisdom of the Ancients as a primary skill. I think 2 or 3 of the skills on there basically revolve around getting more money during a game. So that can fuel your, you know, expensive warband in that, okay, you're going to start with a few guys that are heavily toured up, but over the course of a few games you should start racking in some credits to recruit some new gang members for you. So that's pretty cool. We then have your standard ganger at 50 credits, and again, if you want to, these guys can be absolutely toured up as well. They can't take heavy, but they can take light carapace armour for 80 credits for a 4+ save. And they can also take bolt guns as a basic weapon. So yeah, some crazy stuff you can do with here. They're not on the sprue, but a specialist can take flamers and melter guns as well. So again, whether we get an upgrade sprue at some point or some resin models depicting a squat with a melter gun, hopefully we get them soon, because that'd be a pretty cool buy for your initial gang as well. And then even your humble Juves can take carapace light armour and a bolt gun as well. So, like I say, even your cannon fodder can be pretty tooled up in a squat gang. So, yeah, these look really fun. Jay has painted some up. We've got a companion video up on the site where we have a look at the kit, but he's painted up some squats, and I've got to say, they look so cool. So yeah, while I'm focusing on my Ash Waste Nomads, I'm definitely going to have to get some squats as well, because I think they look really fun. So yeah, they can also take their own crew for vehicles as well. So we'll see a little later on, when buying a vehicle, you get a choice of crew for it. Generally speaking, you either hire crew from the Guild of Coin, and they're kind of better and more trained, or you can just have like an Ash Waste racer who's just like Jeff down the pub who claims he can drive a HGV. He ain't great, but he's cheap. So squats get a good compromise in that they can take their own crew on vehicles as well, so that's pretty good. So basically you pay for them, and then you can give them a vehicle that they can drive. So at the minute, that's Ridge Runners, Rock Grinders and Wolf Quads, or a custom vehicle, and we'll see the rules for them in a little bit. So we then also get the full rules for introducing other gangs into your games of Ash Wastes. And this basically just lets you take any gang that you want and get an additional 400 credits in order to spend on mounts or vehicles. So this is how, if you're playing Escher, for example, and you want to get involved in the Ash Waste action, this is the kind of the list of building that you do. We see this kind of briefly mentioned in the Ash Waste rulebook, but it's expanded here with the full rules and everything. It is a bit of a shame that this wasn't fully included within the Ash Waste rules, because it would have been quite nice to have those vehicle profiles in there. On the flip side, if you're not interested in that box and the scenery, you can just buy this book and you've got all the rules you need for using vehicles in the game. So yeah, it's one of those. So first of all, every ganger has access to a new piece of equipment, and that is the Waster's Dirt Bike. Costs you 50 credits, and it gives any ganger in any gang a dirt bike, increases their movement to 8, they get their mounted condition. That also means that they can be taken using the additional 400 points that you get. Now obviously anything that interacts with movement, you can't have a bike as well, so you can't have like a flying bike or something. That's just there. It does kind of point out though that if you want to, you could go to town and say, okay, well, my guys have got choppers, or they've got cybernetic animals that they ride, using that bike profile, but kind of, you've got the freedom to convert up something, you know, that fits the bill for the equivalent of bike for your gang. So I think that's pretty cool. So then what you do is you purchase a crew member. So the Orlocks get our Orlock Iron Riders. They're unique to them. Similar situation to the squats that we saw earlier, where it's a kind of unique for them, better variety of driver for their vehicles. Or you can take the Scum Racer, who's just like a dude, 20 credits. Or you can hire someone from the Guild of Coin, 40 credits. Now there's some vehicles that can only be driven by certain individuals. So if you want to take the Ridge Hauler, you have to hire Guild of Coin drivers to drive it, because it's essentially their property and you were hiring them. So yeah, so if you want to cheap out, you can take the Scum Racers, but otherwise if you're an Orlock, you can give them all Orlocks. So if you're a squat, you can squat crew. Everyone else gets the choice between the Scum and the Guild of Coin to drive their vehicles. I again assume that we might see some resin upgrades to reflect these different types of crew as well in the game. So then once you've bought your crew, you then buy the vehicle that you want. So you've got Wolf Quads, Ridge Runners, Rock Grinders, the Ridge Hauler, which the Guild of Coin drivers can take, or the Orlock Outrider Quad that only the Orlocks can take. Alternatively, you can build a custom vehicle, and we'll see that in a little bit, but that lets you kit bash your vehicle and then create rules for it, which is really, really fun. Once you've bought your vehicle, when we get to the vehicle profiles later in the book, you can then give it upgrades as well. So there's some fun stuff you can do with the vehicles to make them really unique and do some really fun things with them. So we also get some new hangers on and brutes introduced for games in the Wastelands. First of all, we get a couple for the Ash Waste Nomads. They're unique to them. They get their brute, the Athromite Dune Scuttler. So this is a big insectoid thing. Unfortunately, there's no pictures in the book. Presumably we will get a model for it at some point in the near future. And this is kind of like the shock troops for the Ash Waste Nomads. A big, terrifying creature that goes in and smashes things in close combat, which is really, really cool. It's really hard to kill as well, so any lasting injuries you roll twice and the controlling player gets to pick which one they want to take. Boosting the Dune Scuttlers are the Athromite Herders, who are basically the kind of bug whisperers of the Ash Waste Nomads. So this is a unique hanger-on that they can take, and basically they can kind of help heal your Dune Scuttlers if there are any lasting injuries and stuff. They can try and remove those. They can also train them up, so at the end of the battle they can kind of train them and give them some bonus XP. So they're really cool. So again, that's probably a nice buy for the Ash Waste Nomad players. So they've got a big beastie on the battlefield and somebody looking after it. So and you can take up to 2 of each of them as well, which is, I mean, that's what, 500 credits for 2 of each, but it would be really cool. So they're fun. The squats also get their brute as well. So the Exo Driller, this thing is crazy. It comes with light carapace armour as standard. It comes with a heavy flamer as standard, but can be upgraded to a heavy bolter. If you ever have a scenario where sentries are selected, this guy is always one of your sentries. So that is really, really cool. And with its various sensors and targeting systems, it can see outside of 3 inches of visibility as well. So again, if you've got a pesky Ash Waste Nomad making a storm cloud appear, these guys can just see through that and shoot them in the face. So yeah, they look really, really cool. Again, 250 credits. I think Warcom have shown off the model. It looks really cool. And then for old school Necromunda fans, we get the return of the Outland Beastmasters. So these are basically guys who specialise in training various creatures found within the Ash Wastes. Just like back in the day, you can give them rats, you can give them millosaurs, you can give them ripperjacks. They have to specialise in one flavour of creature, but they can take up to 3 of that creature. And again, you could take 2 of them and have a variety of different creatures. I love the old like Millosaur and Ripperjack models, so I can't wait to see what Forge would have done with this guy. I don't know how it's going to work, whether you get just the guy and one of each thingy for him to pick from, or you buy him as a blister and you get blisters of the various creatures. I don't know. Obviously the giant rats you can probably get away with using the bomb rats and stuff, but I suspect they'll get their own models. And yeah, these look really, really cool. So at the end of the game, if you've lost one, you can purchase a new one to replace it, and each of the different creatures have got different kind of abilities that they use as well. So the giant rats, if one dies at the end of the game, you get to replace one for free because there's plenty of rats everywhere. The millosaurs can kind of scuttle, burrow underneath impassable scenery and pop up the other side, so they're pretty cool. And then the ripperjacks can fly over anything that isn't impassable, and also when they engage with something, that person suffers a -2 modifier to any initiative checks as well. So yeah, really, really cool. I'm going to have to get these to paint up. I don't know if I have them in my gang, but just some old school nostalgia with the Beastmaster and these various creatures. So that's a fun addition that I wasn't expecting to be in the book, so big thumbs up for that one. So we can get to one of the kind of the biggest sections of the book, and arguably one of the most exciting sections of the book as well, and that is the Wasteland workshop. So this is how you go about creating your custom vehicles for games of Necromunda, and it's a pretty awesome system. Now what it does kind of stress is that what you should always do is convert up a model, paint it, and then find the rules to represent that model. That is the right mindset for playing Necromunda. This isn't really intended to be a thing where you go through and pick all the best options and then build a model to represent that. That's not really in the theme of things. These are meant to represent kind of cobbled together vehicles that have been made out of scrap and stuff, so you know they shouldn't be going out to make them amazing, all guns blazing, the best choice in the game. They should be really used to offer a framework to give rules to your own creations. So that said, there's loads of cool stuff you can do. Basically what you do first is pick a chassis type. So you've got light vehicles, medium vehicles, heavy vehicles and walkers, and that's basically like sentinels and stuff. And then from that you can give them various upgrades. There's a cap based on the type of vehicle. So if you look at the heavy vehicle, it can take 4 body upgrades, 3 drive and 2 engine, where a walker can take 2 body, 1 drive, 2 engine. So based on what kind of chassis that you've picked, that will determine what upgrades you can take. It will also determine what weapons that you can take as well, and how the vehicle kind of acts on the battlefield. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do, and you are going to rack up a lot of points if you do go all in with your upgrades. There's some, you know, really fun stuff you can do, like give it anti-grav generators at 50 credits, but they are rare, with a value of 10, 8 for Vansar. That lets them kind of like fly over stuff. Again, stuff like that lets you theme your gang around kind of what vehicles would an Escher gang drive in the Wastelands? What would a Vansar gang have? They probably have some more technology and stuff. What about some weird kind of blacked out limo? For the Delac, I could absolutely see somebody recreating those old school like Gene Stealer Court limos with a couple of guns mounted on the front of it. That'd be really cool, and that'd be something you'd be able to create using these rules. So there's a lot of possibilities that you can do with these, which makes it really fun. There probably are options that you could pick to create something really broken and over the top, but again, that's not really the intent of this. You shouldn't be trying to just cheese the best vehicle in the game. You should just build something cool, and you will be able to create rules for it, which I think is the best way of doing it, really. And then once you've created it, put all the upgrades on it, given it a weapon and stuff, I mean, you're racking up the points now, you can then give it various bits of war gear as well. Again, these are availability based on the trading post as well, so if you want to have wheel sides on your vehicle, you can go ahead and do that for 20 credits. So yeah, some really fun stuff. What we also get in here are the profiles for all the vehicles as well. So if you don't do a custom vehicle and you're just buying one using the rules seen earlier in the book, you get all the profiles here as well. All of the vehicles that you buy kind of a standard for a gang can also take the various upgrades that we see in the previous section as well, so that's really cool. You can still do a bit of customization and stuff, and you can add to those customizations as you go through your campaign as well. So you could just buy a stock Outrider quad and then later on add a redundant drive system or smoke launchers, or you know, whatever you want to add to it, which means that you're not kind of like locked into how you build it at the start, especially when kind of credits are kind of hard to come by at the start of the game. So you've got them, you've got the Ridge Runners, so based on the Gene Stealer Cults model, it can take weaponry based on what that model can take as well, which is cool. You can also take a Wolf Quad, which is the little quad bike that the Gene Stealer Cults that have got. Obviously, if you do pick up that kit, don't forget you can use the bikes as well as war gear on your gangers as well. So I'm thinking like an Escher biker gang would be pretty cool. I'm trying to debate how I'd do that, but there's lots of cool stuff you can do with these rules, which is fun. A rock grinder can be taken. Again, all these have generally got the weapon options that the kind of like parent kit's got to make things easy. And then if you do want to go all in and have the all singing all dancing vehicle, there is the Ridge Hauler. So this is the big truck thing that is up for pre-order alongside this book. I'm absolutely going to order one because it looks amazing. These things can take multiple kind of trailers on the back of them, and then on those trailers you can add them different things. So Promethium canisters, kind of big Minotaurium containers full of loot. And this is a good way of earning money, because if they survive the battle, you get kind of credits for all the loot that's still stored on the back of this truck. Obviously, if your opponent manages to take you down, though, they manage to loot the spoils and get a benefit for themselves. But yeah, I really like these. They're a little bit pricey, I think, money-wise. All in, a truck with a trailer and the kind of crew to put on the top, so you can have gunners sat on the top of these. It's probably like £90 to £100, I think, all in, if you want like multiple trailers and stuff. But it is going to be a cool centerpiece model. Like, I'm arbitrating a Necromunda campaign. I'm thinking of getting one of these with a couple of trailers, maybe as like the focus of a scenario or something. And obviously you could go crazy and convert one up to theme your gang or paint it in gang colours. So yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff you can do. In fact, here we go, here's some examples. So we've got some like artillery on the back of this one, coloured up to represent different gangs, which is a pretty nice way of doing it. I believe the some of the Sector Mechanica stuff, the kind of piping and stuff, fits on the back of it to represent the Promethium tank as well. So yeah, some really fun stuff you can do with them. I'm looking forward to picking one up. If I do, I'll do a bit of an unboxing and video on the site as well. So yeah. So moving on to the kind of final half of the book, we see a lot of the rules for how to play games of Ash Wastes. So if you've not picked up the big Ash Waste box, yeah, you're kind of in for a treat, because a lot of the stuff that's in there is kind of in here in a different form. So we get the rules for generating battlefield conditions in the different kind of like environments of the waste. Now what I will say, these are kind of much consolidated rules. So there's what, 3 pages there of the various environments, compared to quite a hefty section that you get in the main Ash Waste book. This means that if you haven't got that box and you still want to play games out in the Ash Waste, you have got the rules for representing some of the effects. It also means that if you want more kind of like standardized results, because in the Ash Wastes rulebook you get a whole raft of different environments and changing seasons and all that kind of stuff, where in here really you've got like one result for each season. So again, as an arbitrator, if you want to kind of speed up things a little bit and just have some more simplified kind of environmental effects, you can do that with this section. You also get a reprint of the Rolling Road scenario rules as well. So obviously we've got all the scenarios in the core book, but presumably the books that follow this will probably be in a similar format to some of the other books that we've had in the past, where we get some new kind of gang entries and hangers on, and then some mission sections at the end and lots of lore and stuff. So presumably people will need the rules on how to play Rolling Road games if they haven't got the big core box. So they are reprinted here, which is handy. As ever, we get some beautiful artwork of painted miniatures. I absolutely need one of these trucks. I believe the truck is made, I've not seen the actual truck yet, so as soon as I've got one out I will do a video of it, but I believe this is a kit, and then this with the container is a separate kit, and then you can buy extra gunners to go on the top of each trailer separately as well. You can also give the trailers the Promethean, like tanks and stuff. I believe you've got to use some of the Sector Mechanica scenery, or convert something up yourself to do those. Again, I've not kind of had a hands-on with the kit yet, so as soon as I've kind of got an informed kind of opinion of it, I'll share some more details on that. But it certainly looks really cool. Like I say, it's a little bit on the pricey side, all in. I think it's £50 odd for the truck itself, and then £30 odd for each kind of trailer. Again, today on the website you should be able to see what's included in both those boxes, because I imagine it's more than just this. I think you get that and a load of goodies with it, so we shall see. And again, painted examples of all the various gangs in the book. we get the gang tactics for the Ash Waste Nomads, the Ironhead squat Prospectors, and also the Orlock vehicle gang tactics as well. So again, these are all available as separate cards, but if you haven't got them, for the past, well, a large number of supplements now, they've been printing these in here, so if you do miss out on the cards, you still have access to them, so that's pretty handy. We also get the new skill trees as well. So the driving one that we saw in the core Ash Waste game is included in here, but we also get the Wisdom of the Ancients for the Ironhead squats and the Wastelands skills as well for the Ash Waste Nomads. So yeah, lots of new skills you can do. Lots of those kind of reflect on how the armies play as well. Like I said earlier in the video, there's lots in the squat one that is about generating extra cash and money for your gang, where the Wasteland ones have got some shenanigans as well. So it makes them easy to make reactions. They can see outside of visibility, all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty fun. And then for the kind of final part of the book, what we get is a reprint of all the vehicle rules from the Ash Waste core book. So obviously for completists, it's a bit of a shame that your vehicle rules are kind of like the last 20 odd pages of this book when they're already printed in the Ash Waste rule book. But again, what it does mean is that anyone who's not interested in all the scenery and the models and stuff in that big box and isn't going to run a campaign themselves can pick up this book and have the rules for the vehicles, how to equip the vehicles, and then have the rules for using the vehicles in the game as well. So it does make sense. It is a little bit of a shame that some of this stuff wasn't in the kind of big core book. They sold that separately, and then the gangs and new stuff was in another book. But, you know, I understand why they do it this way. It's even with this reprinted section in here, it is still worth picking up this book personally, just for all the fun stuff that you've got. You know, you've got 2 new gangs in here, 2 really cool thematic gangs as well. You've got the whole kind of suite of vehicle rules and upgrades, and the customization and stuff in itself is kind of worth the ticket price anyway. So yeah, definitely a good one to add to your collection. I'd say that if you were not an arbitrator and you're playing a Ash Waste campaign, if you don't have the Ash Wastes box and book, this is an essential purchase because it's got those rules for using the vehicles in here and all the stuff that you need to add vehicles to your gangs as well. So definitely a good one to pick up. Obviously if you're playing either of the 2 new gangs as well, you want to pick this one up. I'm interested to see where they go from this, whether it goes back to a kind of like House of style things, so whether we see the squats expanded in a book with more another kit for them and some more fun things. Likewise for the nomads, could we see another brand new gang added at some point? There's, you know, lots of cool stuff they can do with Necromunda, so I'm interested in seeing kind of where they go next. So yes, that was a look at Book of the Outlands. I do have a full written review up on the website, spruesandbrews.com, as well, accompanying this one. We've also done unboxings of the new plastic squats, of the Stormcaller, so they are all up on YouTube and linked in the article as well. We've also got a load of stuff coming up for Age of Sigmar and 40k today. We've got the new Warzone Nephilim Grand Tournament pack for 40k, and we have the Sylvaneth, the Skaven, and the General's Handbook for Age of Sigmar as well. So bumper day of pre-orders today. So they're all on either the website or the YouTube channel, so make sure to check them out. If you do want to support the site as well, we've got an Element Games link. Use that, we'll get a little bit of a kickback, which helps in running the website, and you also save, you know, about 20% on the models, which is cool. So hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, why don't you give it a like and give us a follow. We've got loads of videos on the way, lots of reviews and unboxings. We also plan on filming some Necromunda battle reports as well, so that'll be pretty cool. So they'll be coming in the next couple of months, and then a new series. We're going to play through an Ash Waste campaign and see how we get on out in the deserts of Necromunda. So yeah, until then, have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.